Today, prices paid to producers rise as fast as they have for decades. Gasoline was up almost 7% in the last month alone. General Electric announcing it's splitting itself into 3 different companies after years of its stock underperforming. How could splitting up help? And the supply chain crisis is affecting the pharmaceutical industry. Over 100 drugs are running low across the country. That and much more coming up on NTD Business. Good evening. Great to have you with us. I'm Paul Graney. Gasoline prices reportedly rose almost 7% last month, keeping the producer price index at a level not seen since 2008. The index measures the price producers are selling their goods and services for. Some of these prices are paid directly by consumers. Others can make their way to consumers indirectly. The index is up 8.6% over the past 12 months, with economists at First Trust saying prices for goods have risen 14.2%. Prices for services are up almost 6%. And despite the Federal Reserve's prediction that inflation will be temporary, there's little to indicate accelerating prices will slow down anytime soon. The central bank is still adopting a historically loose monetary policy. Democrats are trying to pass a massive spending bill, and supply chain bottlenecks persist. And also likely contributing to inflation is rising household debt, as Americans use credit to bid up the price of goods and services. Household debt is now at record levels thanks mainly to higher mortgage balances. Federal Reserve says U.S. household debt climbed to a new record of $15.24 trillion between July and September. That's nearly 2% higher than the previous quarter. Credit card balances rose again in the third quarter by $17 billion. Still is much lower than before the pandemic. Mortgage balances accounted for the largest part of household debt. They rose by $230 billion last quarter to $10.7 trillion. Auto loans and student loan balances also rose. And as supply chain disruptions make it difficult to get products and presents on the shelves for holidays, what happens to all the products that don't make it on time? NTD's Evelyn Lee takes a look.
The supply chain bottleneck has products stuck at the port, but what happens when they make it to the shelves? Now analysts say the supply chain issues could actually lead to big discounts in the next months. Experts point out that it's not really a supply problem.
It's not like there's a shortage. It's just we have to move the commodities from where they're at to where they need to be.
But analysts at BMO say many products will miss their intended season. When they do eventually hit the market, they'll end up being discounted. The problems started with manufacturing issues, but now BMO says the problems are mostly in the freight, trail, and trucking industries. And because of these delays, retailers are over-ordering and panic buying. They hope this will give them a chance of being fully stocked. BMO says if it really is just a supply chain slowdown, not a shutdown, it will just be a matter of time before those products will hit the shelves and drive up promotions. But until then, retailers first need to get over the global supply chain bottleneck. That's happening amid a surge in demand and a labor shortage.
We need to get more people into those warehouses to move things. We're in a labor issue right now. We have a lot of people who want to hire people, but people who don't want to go work.
Jonathan Savoy, the CEO of a supply chain technology company, says over-ordering is not the best way to navigate the supply chain crisis. Not only does it put extra strain on the logistics providers, retailers risk ending up with leftover stock after the holidays. Evelyn Lee, NTD News.
And the supply chain crisis is affecting the pharmaceutical industry too. Some basic drugs like insulin are running low across the country. NTD's Colin Fredrickson has the details.
Supply chain bottlenecks are impacting everything, from clothes to electronics, and now drugs. The FDA says there are currently over 100 drug shortages, from the anesthetic lidocaine to anti-smoking treatment Chantix to epinephrine, which treats life-threatening allergic reactions.
Oh, the impact on patients is very real.
One expert thinks the real situation could be even worse.
And now, with the supply chain disruptions off of California, with so many products coming from China and other countries, the situation could be potentially much worse.
Rosemary Gibson, the author of China RX, says America relies too much on one country for our medicine supply.
And just remember that 90% of the global supply of the key materials to make generic drugs for the world are centralized in a single country, China. So I do think that the situation is much, much worse than what the FDA is saying.
Gibson says there's an urgent need to bring pharmaceutical production back.
If we could make these products in our own countries, we would not be having these shortages. That's what every single country should do. And we could change the market overnight.
The report also mentions other reasons, like some of the drugs are in high demand, encountering manufacturing delays, or have been discontinued. Colin Frederickson, NTD News.
And the Biden administration today announced new actions to alleviate supply chain issues at U.S. ports, waterways, and freight networks. It's the administration's approach to implementing the newly passed but not yet signed bipartisan infrastructure bill.
We understand the frustration that Americans feel when backlogs lead to higher prices or delayed goods. So today's announcement builds on the steps we've already taken to help address the supply chain challenges.
The plan includes, among other things, new construction projects for coastal navigation, inland waterways, and land ports of entry. It'll also include flexibility for port grants through the Department of Transportation to solve supply chain disruptions. The announcement comes days after the bipartisan package passed Congress. And according to one senior official, implementation of the plan is already underway, even though the measure has not yet been signed. And after a court halted the President Biden's vaccine mandate, the administration is still asking companies to follow it. Here's the Deputy Press Secretary.
We say do not wait to take actions that will keep your workplace safe. It is important and critical to do, and waiting to get more people vaccinated will lead to more outbreaks and sickness.
The court struck President Biden's vaccine mandate down because there could be constitutional issues. The petitioners say the mandate exceeds OSHA's authority. Even still, President Biden is asking the federal court to lift its order blocking it. It says OSHA can enforce the rule through the powers Congress has given the Health Administration. The White House also says it's confident the rule will stand. And as cyber attack numbers continue to ramp up, a new breach has just hit the financial sector. Stock trading platform Robinhood has revealed millions of its customers' information was exposed in a hack last week. The company also said the hackers demanded a ransom payment. It's not yet clear if the company made the payment, but the hacker or hackers got email addresses for about 5 million people and full names for another group of roughly 2 million. The cyber attack also exposed the names, dates of birth, and zip codes of roughly 310 people. The company said it does not believe the exposed data included social security numbers, bank account numbers, or debit card numbers. Robinhood also said there has been no financial loss to any customers due to the attack. But it's not just trading accounts. Medical devices could be vulnerable too. The Department of Homeland Security is expected to warn medical facilities to update certain software today. It comes after researchers discovered a vulnerability that could allow hackers to access medical devices. Those include patient monitors, as well as some anesthesia, ultrasound, and x-ray machines. Whether devices can be accessed depends on what version of the software they're running and if they're connected to the internet. The affected software is owned by Siemens. The company has issued updates to fix the vulnerabilities, but about 4,000 devices have not yet been updated. There have been no reports of hackers exploiting the software. And General Electric, once one of the most dominant firms in the United States, founded by Thomas Edison, says it's splitting into 3 different companies. NTD's Faye Corder explains why.
The once dominant General Electric is splitting into 3 different public companies. The 3 will focus on aviation, healthcare, and energy.
This plan is the result of a thoughtful, deliberate, strategic process by our board of directors and senior management team. We're embarking on this exciting journey from a position of strength.
The healthcare unit will spin off in 2023, and GE's expected to retain a 19.9% stake. The spin-off's expected to be tax-free. GE aims to drive innovation in precision health, which is the customization of healthcare to subgroups of patients. It's currently serving over 1 billion patients and conducting over 2 billion procedures a year. GE Renewable Energy, GE Power, and GE Digital will combine into one business. This new entity will be spun off in 2024. GE is positioning it to lead the energy transition. The business offers wind turbines, gas turbines, and steam turbines, as well as nuclear and hydro. GE says it provides 1/3 of the world's power. They currently have 400 plus gigawatts of renewable energy installed, as well as 7,000 plus gas turbines. Following these spin-offs, the remaining company will focus on aviation and retain the GE name. GE says they're a global leader in propulsion and systems, and that they power 2/3 of commercial flights. They've installed around 37,700 commercial aircraft engines and around 26,500 military aircraft engines. Faye Quarter, NTD News.
And in market news, Wall Street closed lower today, ending a multi-day rally. All three major indexes lost ground. The Dow fell 112 points, about 0.3%. S&P 500 lost 16 points, about 0.4%. The Nasdaq dropped 96 points, about 0.6%. And the new study says more people trading cryptocurrency could be one reason behind the worker shortage we're seeing. According to the survey by research firm Civic Science, about 1 in 10 respondents say they or someone they know have quit their jobs because they're getting enough income from trading crypto. For lower-income Americans, the percentage is much higher. Among those earning $25,000 to $50,000, 3 of 4 left their jobs to trade crypto or know someone who has. For those earning less than $25,000, it's about 4 out of 10. And during the pandemic, many people stuck at home turned to day trading. Survey also says more than half of the crypto traders feel they are richer than before. And President Biden says the U.S. will continue a Trump-era policy on Chinese investments. The rule prohibits U.S. investment in Chinese companies linked to the Chinese military. Trump announced the ban last November, and Biden says the Chinese regime is exploiting U.S. capital to improve its military. And he says it's a threat to both the U.S. and U.S. forces overseas. Biden is continuing the ban in hopes of stopping U.S. investment firms, pension funds, and others from buying shares of certain Chinese companies. The Defense Department says the companies are backed by the Chinese military. And an environmental activist and the heads of Greenpeace Germany have sued Volkswagen. They're accusing the automaker of failing to do its part to combat climate change. Greenpeace and activist Clara Mayer have made a number of demands. They want VW to stop making internal combustion engines by 2030. They also want the company to lower carbon emissions by at least 65% by 2030. And they've given VW 8 weeks to consider those demands. The automaker did not immediately respond for comment, but in September said it already committed to the Paris Climate Agreement and was working on making the company more electrified. And still to come this evening. AAA is predicting a big rebound this year for Thanksgiving travel. It could even come close to pre-pandemic levels. And scientists race to prevent future storms on the sun from knocking out electronics on Earth. They're trying to find the problem so industries can solve them and protect their products. That and more coming up on NTD Business.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell. Cancel culture has not only affected myself and my pillow, but millions of you out there. Before all this started, I had already written in my memoir, I dedicate this book to anyone that's looking for hope. Well, right now, we're all looking for hope. I believe that my story is going to bring inspiration and hope to everyone. By the time you're done reading my book, you will believe that with God, all things are possible. To thank you all for your support, I'm offering some of my best prices ever on MyPillow products, including this exclusive bundle. You get my book and these 5 MyPillows. They all have beautiful scenes and verses from the Bible, such as Isaiah 41:10. Do not fear, for I am with you. This 6-pack bundle is regularly $219. Now it's just $99.98 and free shipping with your promo code. Go to mypillow.com and use the promo code on your screen or call the 1-800 number below. Thank you and God bless.
The performance was enchanting.
I feel better about the world. I feel uplifted.
It touches you. It really does.
The expertise of the dancers was really, really strong.
To know that it was live music was really fantastic.
We didn't want to miss this.
Make sure you see it.
Have to come. Life-changing.
Coming to West Palm Beach, Fort Lauderdale, and Miami, November 8th through January 9th.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
Welcome back. Thanksgiving travel might look a lot like it did pre-pandemic this year. AAA says more than 53 million people are expected to travel for the holiday. That's a 13% increase from last year and only 5% below the 2019 level. More than 4 million people are expected to fly, an 80% increase from last year. But most holiday travelers will likely be on the roads. AAA predicts 48 million people will drive this Thanksgiving. And TV and film characters are set to lead this year's top toys. That's according to the Toy Retailers Association. It's released its top 12 dream toys for Christmas. The main concern this year is getting the toys to the consumer. It's after a year of supply chain and transport challenges. NTD's Andrew Thomas takes a look.
The list of the top 12 dream toys for Christmas is out in the UK. Selected by a panel of retailers and experts, it predicts what toys will be popular this year.
We discuss all the different toys that are either on the market or coming on the market between then and Christmas, and we work out what we think might be the best sellers.
All 12 toys are new to the market and range in price from $15 to $95, with an average price of $50. On the list is this car from the hit series Paw Patrol.
This toy has been designed to replicate that transformation exactly, and you get with it, it chases 2 in 1 vehicle, motorcycle, chase, and some really cool lights and sounds and transforming features.
Star Wars, Pokemon, and Jurassic World also made the list, along with Gassy Gus. Players feed him with food items displayed on cards, and the player who feeds him too much loses. And some well-known toys are still trending, like LOL Surprise. This year, the dolls are based on the Netflix movie by the same name.
You can collect them all together, you can connect them in different ways and build your own movie storyline. So all about that creativity with kids.
Also making the list is the Bluey Family Home playset, based on the children's TV series Bluey.
It comes with lots of different play pieces, so you have beds, sofas and furniture. It then comes with your Bluey figurines, so you can play out all your favourite episodes from the show.
Also set to be a hit, Magic Mixie's Cauldron, a Barbie color changing mermaid, Coco Melon interactive doll, Hot Wheels, and Little Live Pets My Pig Piggy. But with just over 7 weeks left until Christmas, supply chain problems are a huge concern for the industry.
The last thing we want is to disappoint children at Christmas time. But the message is, if you have the time, get out and shop early.
In the meantime, toy makers are already getting ready for the 2022 holiday season. Andrew Thomas, NTD News.
And 4 astronauts aboard the SpaceX Crew Dragon capsule splashed down Monday off the coast of Florida. The return capped off a 6-month stay in space. The spacecraft spent nearly 9 hours slowly maneuvering through orbit. That's before it splashed down in the Gulf of Mexico around 10:30 p.m. A fleet of rescue ships brought the 4 astronauts to safety. And during their stay in space aboard the International Space Station, they oversaw numerous science experiments and conducted spacewalks. The trek home, though, did present some issues. A broken toilet left the astronauts without a bathroom option. The crew was forced to rely on what were essentially adult diapers during the 9-hour journey. And scientists in England are trying to help industries protect their products against solar superstorms. A big enough solar flare could bring down the internet, knock out your electronics. That's if they aren't protected against it. NTD's Andrew Thomas has the details.
The race is on to stop storms on the surface of the sun, called solar flares, from knocking out electronics on Earth. As digital systems get smaller, they become more vulnerable to cosmic rays. To try and prevent future problems, scientists in England are using a chip irradiation instrument to test the resilience of electronic devices.
In other words, we put electronic devices into the beam and effectively run them as if they're in the real environment for about 170,000 years. So 170,000 years represented by 1 hour of testing on our beamline. And in that way, we can find all of the problems that are going to happen in these devices as a result of these neutrons.
The spikes in radiation caused by solar flares happen almost annually and cause bit flips in computer memories, where zeros or ones can be interchanged in the binary code that is critical for every digital device.
Everything in our digital world is stored by ones and zeros, so we clearly don't want them changing.
He says it takes tons of steel and concrete to stop the neutrons, so instead, the solution is to harden the design. If you can understand where the problem is in the chip, then you can put error correction mechanisms in there.
What we're trying to do is to work out where the problems are and to allow industry then to find solutions to those problems.
Chip makers NVIDIA and ARM are just 2 of the companies that have used the chip irradiation instrument to try to make their software better able to cope with a solar superstorm. Andrew Thomas, NTD News.
And Heinz is unveiling a Martian-grown ketchup. The company said it has made its first Mars edition ketchup made with tomatoes produced on Earth, but in Mars-like conditions. A team of 14 astrobiologists worked on it for 9 months at the Aldrin Space Institute at the Florida Institute of Technology. They grew the tomatoes in a controlled environment with soil, temperature, and water conditions similar to those on Mars. The experiment, which has been 2 years in the making, shows the possibility of long-term food production on the red planet. The research team and the former NASA astronaut Mike Massimino will be the first to taste the final product on November 10th. You can watch the moment on Heinz's social media channels. Though the Martian ketchup will not be available for purchase. That's the latest business updates for today, but you can still catch NTD Evening News with Stephanie Cox. That's at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. For NTD Business, it's all for today. Thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.